Hello, one, hello, all. So that issue that had seemed to be a temporary problem with Peter and his office, um, evidently is a more solid, a more permanent thing. Um, Theoretically, we could try to go ahead and go forth with the stream, um, and have 15% of what he says come out and make sense, but it's not worth it to watch. I don't like interacting with him. I'm sure as hell pretty sure. I know Dennis has said he's tried to watch and it's hard. So um this episode, due to Peter being at work and under difficulties, will just be me. So perhaps it'll be the talking anchor of this show is not here. So perhaps it may be a little lighter. Maybe we done a little bit faster, but the interactivity portion just isn't there. I kind of like feeding and letting Peter kind of chew and chew and chew and chew and chew and chew. Uh, Peter loves to talk, and that's fine with our dynamic. So a little different right now, but well, this weekly show that we've started, it's another weekend, so we got to move forward. Excuse me. A bit interesting. Um, Conjuring won the weekend quite easily, uh, scooping in 40 million. Warcraft coming in second with 20. These are all domestic numbers, by the way. United States domestic. Warcraft with 24. Now You See Me 2 coming in third at 23 million. Then there's a bit of a stagger. Ninja Turtles 2 at 15 million in only its second weekend. Remember that. X-Men Apocalypse clings to third place with, I think it's rounded up. These are just solid numbers. So some of them, 23 could be 23.6, and 15 could actually be 14.9. Just remember that. These are rounding up or rounding down to the nearest number. X-Men clings to fifth place with 10 million. Me Before You, actually, they on Friday they projected Me Before You to finish in fifth, but X-Men managed to scoop some of it back. The interesting number for me is Popstar, way down there, and I think that 2 million, that's below 2, so it's like 1 point something. Popstar opened in the 8th position last week, and it's already at the 13 spot. That movie has just simply gotten buried. Uh, I it's so strange because it's a better movie than that. And you look at this list, there isn't a single, well, Neighbors 2, I guess. Neighbors 2 is actually, they're both R. You see, I wanted to make a bit of a comparison, and I can't. I was going to say Neighbors 2 is R-rated and Popstar isn't, but Popstar is certainly R-rated. It's just odd. It's really odd that as far as comedy is concerned, you have nothing, just nothing in the top 10. Angry Birds just still kind of fading at its own pace. Civil War finally starting to look like a normal old movie. And that's only after, I think we're on week 5 of Civil War. I have another title card made up for the interesting comic book film comparisons. But you look at these numbers, I mean, Conjuring 2, that's quite surprising. And Peter predicted that Now You See Me 2 would win the weekend. I think the actual prediction was that Now You See Me 2 would do better than Warcraft, and well, it was a lot closer than I giggled off. Also, for the record, Blu-ray Hoarder, you see Conjuring, Warcraft, Now You See Me 2, Ninja Turtles 2, X-Men. Blu-ray Hoarder, 4 of us did an estimated guess of the top 5 for this weekend, And Blu-ray Hoarder was the only person to guess Conjuring 2 to come in first. So congratulations to you, sir, for being the only person to get that right as far as first place is concerned. It's really interesting. For those who don't know, The Conjuring, it opens up, the Conjuring, the series of movies is based upon these two real life people, the Warrens, and the film opens up with them doing stuff at the Amityville house, and it's a really, really cool reveal the way they, like Lindsay said on TCT on Friday, how they reveal the windows, but they do it from the inside of the house, and it's a really, really, really cool looking shot. You don't really understand what's going on, and then once you see those just trademark windows at this point, you get the idea that you know where they are. And sure enough, with that being in the news, for those who don't know, I live pretty close to the house. I think I have a link of me driving past that house, the actual Amityville house, the house that the true Amityville horror house, not where they filmed whatever. That's the actual house I live near. The DeFeo family murder is probably more in line with what the actual house is than the movie stuff. But that house, it's just funny that's in the news now, and suddenly that house is up for sale. It was announced somewhere that the Amityville horror house is up for sale. If you check my video where I drive past it, it's, I think the Zillow, the home real estate market has it valued at like 510, and the asking price is 850. So trying to capitalize on the Amityville house being in the news again, I guess. It's not even like really in the news. They should wait for the new movie to come out, which was pushed back. They had an Amityville movie that was scheduled to come out in April. It got pushed back. Apparently it's coming back in 17, but that's when they should try to start to sell that house. So in the chat, it's so odd. We have Bearded Movie Guy in the chat. We also have Patrick. Patrick, what's going on, man? So bizarre to do this way. Like I said, we did so that was, you saw the actual numbers. Here is what Peter, Dennis, and I predicted. I am the guy who looks at the numbers quite a bit. I got 0 right. The greens are the correct ones. If Peter had simply taken the logistical approach and just swapped Now You See Me Too and Conjuring, he would have been perfect. But for some reason, Peter saw this silly magic sequel as the movie to beat, and missed. Quite inspiring, Peter, getting second, fourth, and fifth. We should probably make this more of a game and make it points. Like if you get first place, you get 5 points. If you get second, you get 3. If you get third, you get 2, and then fourth and fifth, you get 1 point. So if we make this like a summer-long game, Peter would have 5 points right now. Dennis would have 1. It's so strange. I could have swore I had X-Men in fifth, but then I went back and checked. I was like, oh man, I was way off. Stupid Warcraft dicked me over. And The Conjuring, I mean, technically none of us saw as being as strong as it was. Again, the Blu-ray Hoarder actually did have that number. He had Conjuring 2 in first, and I think he had it switched. I think he had Now You See Me in second, Warcraft in third, and then he had Ninja Turtles and X-Men. I don't remember what it was, but Blu-ray Hoarder had 3 correct as well, but he had the first one correct, which is obviously more important, more interesting, valuable. I don't know. What's the word I'm looking for? It almost beat Warcraft, says Peter. Yes, you're right. It almost did. And, I almost won the lotto. So whatever that means. So there it is, CP, the self-percep. This man, why am I so stuttery and stupid today? Because I'm doing all the talking. That's why. CP, the self-professed show business student, got 0 right last weekend. Although I bet if we went the full, yeah, interesting side point. Peter decided to give us his 6th choice, which I think was also correct. Peter wanted to tell us that he picked Me Before You for 6, and that actually was true. So technically, Bearded Movie Guy got 3.5 right, because he did guess 6, even though the rest of us didn't get 6. We didn't even guess 6, so he was right. But that's just extra credit for the sake of extra credit. Saw the Turtles this weekend with my daughter's wife and 3 nieces and nephew. So the Turtles this weekend with my daughter's wife and 3 nieces and nephew. That's 1, 2, 3. That's 4 people. 3 nieces, 7. You 8 people went to a movie together. That's like an entire row. It's quite impressive, Peter. What did you think of it? As as Patrick asks the exact same question. Meh, fun, but the script was terrible. It felt a bit more of a children's story. It felt a bit more. Stoudman said this, and I would say it's a spot on description of the film. He says if you enjoy the old school 80s Turtles cartoons, then this movie is perfect for you. And I would absolutely agree with that. It is very much the movie for the old school 80s Turtles cartoon. Unfortunate that since that old school 80s cartoon, we've had a very dark 1989 Batman-esque version of the Ninja Turtles. We've had a Vanilla Ice-ish dark version of the Ninja Turtles. We've had less dark so Ninja Turtles being samurais. And then the 07 animated movie, which I didn't really see. And then the super bulky sliding down a endless mountain somewhere within 100 miles of Manhattan. So it falls somewhere in the middle as far as I'm concerned, for the movies are concerned. He also says most of the plot is totally nonsensical. Well, they're walking, talking turtles who seem to know ninja, karate. No, ninja. Isn't ninja a verb in that use? I don't even know. Yeah, so a really, 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 really interesting. I feel like there's fatigue, and like a completely general sense of fatigue. You look at the numbers of what did what Conjuring 2, something horror, when horror does well and there's enough people home, it's a Conjuring sequel. For better or worse, it's almost bulletproof. You had 7 saws. You had I don't know how many of the stupid camera set up in the house ghost movies. Man, why is that name slipped my mind? Well, anyway, I mean there was damn near a dozen Friday the 13th, a lot of Nightmare on Elm Streets, a lot of Halloweens, a bunch of Leprechaun movies. I mean, horror and comedy seem to have this like name recognition thing where if it works once, you all you really need is the name, and they really exploit the hell out of that. I mean, there was what? There was 7 Police Academy movies, and God, I don't even think there's enough quality there to be 2 movies. Like there's 7 Police Academy movies. Yeah, so horror and comedy have this name recognition thing, this more of a risk taking mentality because of uh, America's increased interest in wanting to go to the familiar. So The Conjuring 2, while also being name recognition, um, was a exorcism movie, and man, I mean, it feels like there's at least one exorcism movie every what 2 3 years or so. Um, I can't honestly say that any of them have been great. The last one I remember really being impressed by was The Exorcism of Emily Rose, and that was what's her face before she was in Dexter, or right as she started in Dexter. If you're a movie guy, chatting away in the chat here, Casey Jones was completely wrong. Not Stephen Amell's fault. It was just a different character who has been given the name. He corrects me on ninjutsu. Nice Guys beat Pop Star. That is amazing. It is amazing. Paranormal Activity. Thank you, Peter. The ghost story. The Paranormal Activity. There's a ton of those. I think there's like 6 or 7. Yeah. So there's this trust, this familiarity with horror franchises, comedy franchises. Although, what's going on, Miles? Although comedy, they don't do it so much lately anymore. It was kind of a thing in the past. Like I said, the Police Academy movies. God, I don't know how on earth they made so money as they did. Yeah, but you look at these numbers here. Um, Angry Birds. Give credit where it's due. That they sure they're fading, but they're still clinging to a respectable amount, topping Alice Through the Looking Glass. Shit, even I mean, granted, Civil War's been around a little bit longer, but hanging on and sticking up above Civil War. Jungle Book just keep trudging along. What's really surprising is the comedies, Neighbors 2, Pop Star, all outside of the top 10. And for there's nothing really original. Comedies, people aren't going to see comedies. A lot of people went to see the new current horror movie. But let's take, now that we've had at least close to a month, let's look at the money for the big 4. Man, loss of words. The big 4 comic book properties for this year. There they are, how they all resulted. The numbers are their money, the dollar amount in millions, obviously. So what's funny is X-Men Apocalypse has just been in 4th place of the big 4, which is shocking. Fox, you got so lucky with Deadpool. Deadpool is carrying the Fox comic book enterprise as far as they're concerned for 2016. It's funny. Opening weekends there. So the more green, the more they win. The interesting numbers here is, so Civil War is in 1st place for money in weekends 1, 2, and 3. But then 4 and 5, Deadpool had more staying power. You see stuff like Batman vs. Superman down to 9 million by its 4th week. And yeah, and then down to 6 million by its fifth week. It's kind of surprising. And if you go and look at X-Men Apocalypse barely getting 10 million in only its third week, I could more than assume then that they're going to be far below 9 million for their fourth week. Um, Civil War #1 in the first weekend, Batman vs Superman #2 for its first weekend, and Deadpool #3. But then it seems like everybody who wanted to see Batman vs Superman did it in weekend #1, and then the drop off is. I mean, the fact that Deadpool made more money in its second weekend than Batman vs Superman did is really, really kind of surprising. And then you get to the third weekend, and Deadpool gets really close to Civil War, and by fourth weekend, it's doing better than Civil War. Yeah, also need to keep in mind the list, 1, 2, 3, 4 there. Deadpool came out first in February. Batman came out in March. Civil War early May. X-Men came out late May. So I'm really convinced that there's some sort of fatigue, and X-Men Apocalypse is just paying for so many different reasons. I mean, if you were to go by quality of film, I think, Deadpool, there's not much movie to go by, but they got the point across. It was more a comedy than anything. They hit hard and fast. So, maybe the Deadpool #1, Civil War 2, Batman, Superman 3, X-Men Apocalypse 4. I mean, you can argue about the quality of the films for days, and I'm sure you can create some little side project on the Marvel DC argument. Um, so Bearded Move Guy almost had to see Angry Birds, had to talk his nieces into watching Turtles instead. You know what? It would have been nice for the show's sake to hear what Angry Birds is about, just to get your full, 100% sat through experience. Movies from Miles, of course. Remember, he walked out on it. He says, "Oh God, Angry Birds is unwatchable." Bearded Movie Guy, yeah, I was glad I dodged that bullet. Deadpool is the best movie out of those four. I agree, and it seems as if America at least agrees. So you saw the dollar amounts. Here is how the placement was. Everybody won their opening weekend. Again, really interesting to see the Deadpool numbers. By weekend 2, X-Men Apocalypse, unfortunately, already in second place. Deadpool, Batman, and Civil War all won 2 consecutive weeks. But again, here's another interesting part. The only movie to win 3 consecutive weeks was Deadpool. But again, if you go back and look at the numbers, Civil War actually made more money in their third week than Deadpool did. A lot of that Deadpool success has a lot to do with the fact that it came out in February. There wasn't much to compete with. That was kind of the idea behind pushing Batman vs Superman up to March. I guess and I've said this numerous times, there's no way they figured Deadpool to be the success that it was going to be. And they kind of assumed that they'd have basically what Deadpool had, a bit of open space to just kind of trounce for maybe a month's worth of ticket sales. And it just fell through, but Deadpool managed to do that in February, and Batman vs. Superman had to deal with a little bit of leftovers from Deadpool by the time they came out in March, even though it was about 6 weeks later. So yeah, X-Men Apocalypse, out of the top 5, well, at number 5 for weekend #3. It'll be really, really interesting to see where they are next weekend. Finding Dory is the big one. I think there's something else that comes out next weekend as well. But Finding Dory, that'll take from a lot of different areas. Deadpool, of course, by week 5 was still in the top 3, whereas Batman vs Superman and Civil War, uh, for say what you want about their money, but whatever you have to say about their success as far as placement is concerned, they're mirrored. Civil War and Batman vs Superman for the first 5 weeks were in the same spots. Did one make more money than the other? Sure, but in the long run, they had the same competitive nature as one another. Really interesting. Again, Deadpool just really, really, really intriguing how well they do by week 5. And in the current climate where movies just seem to hopefully do well within the first 2 weeks and then just kind of trail off and hope that your Blu-ray sales and your digital copy sales get really well. It's just a bizarre new dynamic, and I'm still 2016 is proving to be this weird fuck you year for box office and show business and whatever. Bearded movie guy. Deadpool had so much staying power because of the amazing word of mouth, whereas in all of the rest already had a built-in audience that saw it when it first came out. Yeah. The Deadpool opening weekend number, while not being as good as the other two big guys, is certainly nothing to sneeze at. $132 million for a February release, an R-rated release. You have to keep in mind too that this is a movie that your typical comic book fan, little 14-year-old Jimmy, would not be able to just go walk into a movie theater and see this by himself. The amount of money Deadpool made, despite being rated R, is just, it's dumbfounding. So I don't know anymore. I have no idea what's going to happen with anything. My guess is Finding Dory just dominates this weekend. Independence Day comes in first the weekend after that. Maybe even doesn't, depending on how good or bad it is. It's really strange. I don't see a movie coming in first for 3-4 weeks in a row. I just don't. And that's something that was kind of like, it's kind of a thing. Deadpool did it three weeks in a row. That might be the movie for the year as far as the standings are concerned. Jurassic World did it last year. Interestingly enough, they were in first 3 weeks in a row and had a bit of a fight when Inside Out came along. And sure enough, the July 4th weekend helped Inside Out to finally overcome Jurassic World. And then that was it for both of them. Then they were done after that. It's just really interesting, the dynamic of staying power in the U.S. at least just isn't a thing anymore. X-Men will probably do no better than 8th next weekend. I want to agree. I don't. Coming soon. I'm trying to think of what else comes out next weekend. I know, like I said, I know it's Finding Dory, but I could have swore there was another. Like mid or large level film coming out in alongside it. I can't think of words. Man, doing this by yourself. Oh, Central Intelligence. That's what it is. So comedy, a genre that's quite empty. I could. Ow, my foot fell asleep, and now I can't tell if my toes are moving. Central Intelligence comes out in a time where comedy, there's no real big movie. I could see Central Intelligence coming out and doing like 50 million, just because. I mean, Kevin Hart appears to be a person that people just go and see his movie. It doesn't matter if the movie's good or bad or what. It's just it's Kevin Hart, very popular stand-up, and he's got a movie. So unfortunately, this is in January, so he's going to actually have to deal with competition for once. And unfortunately, for as good an actor as Ice Cube is, The Rock has a drawing power to him. So there's quite a bit to worry about if I were Finding Dory, as far as Central Intelligence is concerned. Me neither. There are just too many movies coming out each week to hold first place for too long. Yeah, it's it this new thing, like this new like general disrespect. Back back when I was you know in the decision making chair at a movie theater, there was this unwritten rule that you just, if you knew a movie could possibly beat yours, you wouldn't try to compete. And now that just doesn't appear to be a thing anymore. Winning the weekend doesn't like really matter, it seems. Either that, or they're just so arrogant to think that, oh, there's no chance that blank will do better than us because whatever. And I'm looking here. I'm looking at IMDb.com, and Now You See Me 2 has got the full border set up on IMDb, which I don't know if you've heard me say this before or not, but for marketing purposes, why have that late night Sunday into early morning Monday? That is a $500,000 purchase right there for a film that finished in third, and you have it up there at the end of the weekend. Some marketing decisions really confuse the hell out of me. Now You See Me 2's got a Metascore of 48, so a little bit better than Warcraft as far as critics are concerned, but you should have pushed to make your money 2 days ago, not now. I don't know. If you think competing against Warcraft and The Conjuring 2 was hard, I don't know what you expect of Finding Dory and Central Intelligence, because if there was a weekend to win, it was this one. As far as any of this, Warcraft, it's pretty clear that they do not care about American money. If they get it, whatever. But they're all about worldwide at this point. I don't know. I'm intrigued to see if Alibaba has money in that, because there's something I read recently that there's places like Alibaba just putting money into films. And when Alibaba, one of the most popular Chinese websites, starts producing your stuff, it's they don't care about July 4th weekend. They care about worldwide Chinese numbers, whatever. That should actually do pretty well with teens and 20s. BMG, I'm assuming you're talking about Central Intelligence. Weird looking movie called Clown, backed by Eli Roth, which means he helped pay for it. I don't know. Then the following week, really, really, really weird. Independence Day 2, or Independence Day Resurgence. Free State of Jones, which is that Civil War movie. Don't know why it's being released in June. That screams Oscar baity. And if they're pushing it out in June, that means that the Oscar baity angle isn't there. So how good is an Oscar movie that isn't good enough to be an Oscar movie in the summer? I think that movie, if Popstar couldn't make money, Free State of Jones better not make money. That doesn't make any sense to me. But the wild card in the week following 2 weeks from now is The Shallows. You have Independence Day 2 and The Shallows. I'm not seeing much as far as advertising is concerned, but it looks like a really, really interesting. I mean, it's a shark movie. There's going to be infinite comparisons to Jaws, but it looks like a bit of a Jaws castaway type. Like she apparently is stuck. I guess the part of the angle is she's been bit, and there's low tide or high. I don't know. Water's too high. She's bit, and the shark is just pacing. So that's a bit of a wild card. They probably have to buy the ad space for the whole weekend. Yes and no. I think they would buy for Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I'm thinking Finding Dory is going to be a month. Yeah, I think so too. As long as it's okay, as long as Pixar doesn't shoot themselves in the foot. Now You See Me 2 has them end up in China, comma, coincidence. You've seen it, Peter? You've seen Now You See Me 2? Because if that's true, that like it's just so overt at this point. Like they're literally not making movies for America anymore. They're making movies for China. The Bollywood has quite a following. The Indian cinema, quite popular. They have a lot of movies, but they're like a niche market. They make movies for themselves, and here we are, Americans. We export films. That's always been the case. That's been the case for what, the last 60 years or so. But suddenly, we're exporting films that we don't want to import. There's movies being made that aren't being made for us first. The deal was, man, we'll make these great movies, Americans will love it, and then the rest of the world will want it. And now it appears to be, man, what does China want? Because we'll give them that. And it's just, Americans are like, yeah, we don't want Transformers 6. And Paramount's like, no, that's cool. You don't have to watch it if you don't want, but they've got money, so we're gonna, they kind of pay for this thing too, so we're gonna shoot a couple of scenes over there, and we're gonna give them that, and good luck trying to find the green room. Free State of Jones would have to be incredible to get Oscar buzz from the summer. You're absolutely right. It's not a summer movie. That's basically my point, Peter. Free State of Jones does not look like something that has any business on the early end of the summer schedule. I'm sorry. It sure, there might be action in it, but it's some serious Civil War, racism, slavery. Like it's all there. Not exactly a light night out on a warm June evening, as far as I'm concerned. Shallows gave away way too much in the trailer. No, the trailer shows it. They go into a tube in America and end up in China on the other side. Yeah, well, you gotta impress the people that are paying for your shit, I guess, or the people that actually still care. The thing about American movies, or American movie goers, and it goes back to the staying power, is it's more of a, all right, do you want to go bowling? Do you want to go here? Do you want to this? Or you want to go see a movie? It's less, oh, that blank movie is coming out, let's go see it. It's more of a, all right, well, this is playing, so we'll go see it. It's more of a just dumb luck. People are going to the movies to do something, and what they're seeing just evidently matters less and less. because it's there's no movies that are drawing people. It's more a thing of, all right, well, we want to do something, want to kill some time. Um, what is close to what we want? These are movies that seem more like a just a generalization. Like I said before, a film familiarity with the names. So it's like, oh, we liked Conjuring. Let's just go see. There's a sequel. Let's see that. It's not like I said that I said this a couple weeks back or on Friday or whatever. Inception. That is a destination movie. That's a movie you say, whoa, that looks good. Star Wars: Force Awakens. That is a destination movie. You say, you know what? I got to buy tickets now and make sure I get my seat. There aren't destination movies being made anymore, and it's really, really odd. It's really odd. Um, so yeah, I don't know how long this has been. I'm fairly done with the topic. Uh, so that's it, guys. More the good news for new releases for this weekend, at the very least, is the three newest movies were 1, 2, and 3 respectively. That's But actually, that kind of plays into what I'm saying, though. Something like X-Men should be top 3 still. It's the third week of the movie's release. Popstar down in 12th place. That's insane. There's uh, maybe I'm actually contradicting myself. The fact that the top 3 are all new is maybe actually I am contradicting. It's maybe the exact opposite. It's just, okay, well, what's new? We'll see that, and that's all it is. If you were to close my eyes and throw a dart at something, I mean, listen, I saw The Conjuring 2, fell asleep on it, missed the middle. I really enjoyed the beginning. I kind of wished we had the James Wan presents the Amityville, alternate story. It was more about the the DeFeo murders in the beginning. It wasn't about the Lutz family. It was about the DeFeos, the actual murders, not the ghost story after the murders. But yeah, I'm kind of tired as far as horror is concerned. As far as mainstream horror is concerned, I'm done with the ghosts. I'm done with the exorcism. Uh, it's been long enough. Let's get a new version, a new twist on the slasher genre. Saw was fun. It was fun the first 3, 4 movies. I enjoyed Hostel. Another take on torture porn. Torture porn for however you feel about it. It was interesting. The twist ending of Saw was incredible. That had nothing to do with much of anything as far as gore. It was a really, really good twist ending. Um, yeah, horror needs that little twist, that little alteration to a common genre, whether it be slasher. I mean, they keep trying to redo the ghost thing, the found footage thing. I really just want to go away. Um, how about you make your movie look professional, huh? The Final Girls, please make stuff like that. It follows, even though I feel like that's more pretentious and a bit full of itself. I'd certainly like a sequel, if only to prove what the hell we're watching in the first one. That would be interesting. Um, so Peter says, I don't ever remember a time when I thought, hey, let's go see a movie, and then just show up to the theater and see what's playing. Yes, I remember, looking at the newspaper, kind of figuring things out. What do you want? Do I want to see this? Want to see this? No. And then if you didn't like, what your choices were, you didn't go. And I think that's not really the case anymore. It's more of a, all right, well, what's the closest thing? All right, this seems pretty close to. Oh, you want to see things blow up? Okay, we'll watch Warcraft. That's not exactly what you're looking for, but okay. Oh, oh, this is like about magicians. We'll go see Now You See Me Too. Oh, all right. Oh, horror. We'll go see Conjuring. Superheroes. We'll see one of the 20 superhero movies. I mean, the comic book stuff is a bit more of a destination stuff in the opening weekends. Opening weekend, you have Batman. Let's go see Batman. Oh, Civil War. Let's go see Civil War. But then it kind of trails off. Uh, did I ever see Babadook? Yes, I did, and my thoughts are that's less a horror movie than it is a true life horror. It's a horror for what she's going through. I guess if you want to create a new subgenre of like real life horror, then I would call that. It's more about like what she's going through mentally as issues and less so, ooh, boogeyman scary. Yeah, but that about wraps it up this time. Uh, Me talking by myself is something I'm not incredibly used to, not incredibly. Uh, while I don't mind it, um, without some sort of cue and script, it's a little discomforting. So that's it, guys. We have an interesting week coming up in Finding Dory and Central Intelligence. I would guess my best guess would be Finding Dory opens up to about at least 90 million, and Central Intelligence that's kind of a wild card. We'll see how it goes. Maybe if Peter can figure things out, we'll do a cute little quickie before next weekend and just give our little estimates. But for Peter who couldn't make it this time, I'm CP for show business.